Hello, my name is Abeku Santana. I'm so excited to introduce to you Pay Angel Money Transfer. Yes, Pay Angel Money Transfer, Africa's money transfer expert. And now, let me tell you 10 reasons why you should choose Pay Angel Money Transfer than any other money transfer in the world. You get free and fast money transfer. You have the service to pay with your debit card, with your bank transfer, or your credit card. You can choose either a mobile app, you can use the website, or you can make a phone call for our service. You can pay your fees, your dues, and all your bills with Pay Angel Money Transfer without any third-party agent. Earn money. When you refer a friend or family member, you get up to 4,000 Ghana cedis life insurance cover for your receivers who receive money through Pay Angel in Ghana. Experience exceptional personalized customer service with Pay Angel. You can send money free of charge from UK, Spain, Italy, Germany, Canada, and the Netherlands. This is Pay Angel, Africa's #1 money transfer expert in Europe and Canada.
Pay Angel, Africa's pay expert. Pay Angel, send mama and papa some money. Pay Angel. I said no.
You know, the wonderful thing about praising our God is that there's no formula to it. Hey, so whatever your dance move is, you want to get it on as we praise our living God together. Here we go. Come on.
Without our strength, forever we will bow in worship. Only you would do the worship. You said the word to sing your praise.
Hello, good afternoon to you, and welcome to Chat with Daniel Dadson. It's exactly 4 o'clock and live from somewhere in my studio here in London. I would like to welcome you to today's edition of the program. If you are on right now, you should be on YouTube via Hack TV or Facebook via my Facebook page, Daniel Kweku Dadson, and also the Hack TV page on Facebook. I'm very grateful for your time this lovely, lovely Sunday afternoon. And um, well, I'm sure some of you would be wondering what romance and marriage and relationship has got to do with music, and it's got to do with Chat with Daniel Dadson. Yet, well, that will be unraveled by the time we finish the conversation today. Let me say a very big thank you. If you have joined, let me know where you are watching us from, and I would also like to say that your comments and your questions are welcomed on today's edition of the program. I'll do some introductions pretty shortly, and then we'll get into the conversation. But let me say that kindly share the stream. So share onto your wall, create a watch party, copy the link, send to your contacts on Facebook, and let someone be blessed by our conversation this afternoon. By God's grace, He has graced me with some amazing, two of His choicest servants when it comes to relationships and marriages. And I tell you what, these are accomplished professionals who are also Christians filled with the power of the Holy Spirit and are word based. They are very well versed in the word of God and in the things that they do. And as you would know, you get to realize later, one of my guests, Adaeze, is not just a relationship coach and a marriage counselor, and is not just doing everything marriage. She's also someone who has played in the music space, managing successful artists, marketing, PR, and a lot more. So she understands the all the things that musicians go through, and all the backstage stuff that we don't get to see. So we'll get into that. But before I begin today's conversation, I would like to send my deepest condolence to a brother of mine, Reverend Stoner Daku, or in Kumasi. Reverend Stoner and I grew up together at the Tabernacle Choir, and that's at the Tabernacle of Witness Church, later Revival Life Church International in Kumasi, where we all grew up in the choir, and we were always together, and also was very, very much in his space when he was making that bold journey to get married. And unfortunately, we've lost their wife suddenly. And Reverend Stoner, I would like to say that may the Lord comfort you with every comfort that you need at this particular time, and may God strengthen you. Right, so welcome to the program. I'll be bringing my guest on pretty shortly. My first guest is based here in UK. She's in Manchester. She's a wife, a mother of 3 amazing boys. She's a worship leader, I told you. And she's a radio presenter and co-founder of one of the UK's leading Christian media companies, Vine Juice. And also, she used to run Unbound PR, which managed Christian artists. For many years, the Lord placed her in a privileged position of mentoring and being a support system for many young women. And this further grew into supporting married couples and the launch of her ministry, which is Marriage4Real. If you are on Facebook after the broadcast, check out Marriage4Real page on Facebook. And Marriage4Real seeks to counteract the negative profile marriage has received over the years by highlighting and promoting positive, healthy marriage. And I'm glad that is what we will be talking about this afternoon. Adaeze, as she's affectionately called, opens her testimony of how God transformed her failing marriage into the flourishing union it is today by breaking her ideals, teaching her the power of worship, showing her the authority she carries in the spirit realm, and practical wisdom. So her story is that of a marriage that has overcome many issues, including infidelity, and is now a testament to God's healing power, forgiveness, and what happens when we decide to fight. The rest of the story, I'm sure she would be able to share with us and get you encouraged and inspired. Now, my next guest, PG Sebastian, it's no new person when it comes to especially the Ghana media space. He is a regular contributor on Home Affairs with Edem Naite on Joy 99.7 FM every Saturday morning. Now, Sebastian, PG, as he is affectionately called, has a deep passion for stable and working romantic relationship and marriages, and he is a certified marriage counselor, relationship coach, and he's a published author as well. So PG has a lot to share with us this afternoon, and I'm really looking forward to speaking to them. So if you're ready as I am, once more, don't forget to share the link. If you are on YouTube, hit the subscription button and press the bell so that anytime there is a video and we are live, you will be able to receive the notification. Now, today's conversation is one that I'm very aware can be touchy, and it's normally private because especially within African-led, within the African space, we don't talk much when it comes to relationships, when it comes to marriage, when it comes to the challenges that are presented before us. We don't have the hard conversations. Much more us as artists and musicians and Christians, then it becomes a bit touchy, too touchy, in fact, and too fierce to touch. But I dare do that this afternoon. And I would like to say that we wouldn't be able to exhaust all there is within an hour or so of the conversation that we'll be having. But I'm trusting God that you will be able to get some very important pointers, and if need be, some learning that you can take into your own relationship and marriage and make it better. And I can also say that my guests after the program are accomplished counselors. You can visit their website and they will be able to take things further. So let me introduce my guests, Adaeze and PG. Hello, Adaeze.
Hey, how are you?
Oh, I'm so blessed. Glad to have you on today.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. PG, you are joining via audio for a while. If you can hear me, PG, let me say good afternoon to you.
Hi, good afternoon. How are you, Daniel?
I'm very well. I'm very blessed. Thank you very much for your time. And Adaeze, thank you very much for your time as well, for taking time out to join me this lovely afternoon. Right. So let's get straight into this because we don't have much time. And let me start with you, Adaeze. Why do you think most of the time it's very difficult for us to talk about issues concerning relationships, marriage, and all those things, especially within the African space, much more as artists and musicians?
I think that people really like to portray an image of having it all together.
Okay.
I think people really like to portray an image, particularly as Christians, that God is working, God is on our side. And a failing marriage says, you're not full of faith. Maybe God didn't lead you right. I think people really take it that if your marriage is failing, you're a failure, your life is failing, and you're not as faithful in the Lord as you portray yourself to be. So people can be quite closed doors about it, and there can be a lot of shame associated with a marriage that's struggling.
That is quite interesting. PG, if you can hear me, let me ask you, is this conversation necessary at all from where you sit?
Oh, yes, I think it is very necessary. I mean, it's very important that we talk about it. We open a conversation around it just so that people can have avenues and, genuine platforms to have these conversations. So yes, for me, it matters. It's a very relevant conversation.
That is great. Let me announce to you that we wouldn't spend a lot of time today. We would be quite succinct and very straight to the point. So if you have any questions and comments, you are more than welcome to put them in the comment section. If you want to send something anonymously, you can do that. I'll put my WhatsApp number on there. You can send it to me directly so that I will ask my guest. That is, if it is something that you wouldn't want your name to be on the wall and for everyone to see that you asked that question. But hey, please, let's engage and let's make sure we get the most out of today's conversation. Let me come back to you, Adaeze. And let me ask you this. Are there peculiar challenges that musicians especially do face when it comes to relationship, marriage, romance, and all that kind of thing, as opposed to like if you were just the normal guy in church? Are there any specific ones?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, for musicians or artists who are married, I think that the number one thing can be the balance between, and I think this goes for ministers full stop, the balance between the ministry outside and the ministry at home can always be a challenge, and where people place their priorities can be really difficult. So somebody might be saying, it's God that has called me to this, and so they feel that they have to place their full attention and energy on this thing that God has called them to, but forgetting that actually they've also been called to to their marriage. So that can be difficult. Also, if you're a traveling musician and you're being called here, there, and everywhere, and your spouse isn't being taken along, that can be an issue. And also, Daniel, I want to say that there's a financial implication that musicians take on. And sometimes they take on this implication without really talking about it with their spouse. And that also can cause issues. So it's a thing of priority, a thing of the actual logistics of being a musician in terms of traveling. And also there's a financial thing that's there.
A financial. I'm sure you are on radio almost every Saturday, as well as Adaeze yourself. You are on radio as well. And PJ, I know you deal with a lot of people, a wide spectrum of people. Let me come to you with regards to the unmarried. I mean, Adaeze touched about those unmarried. Let me come to you with regards to unmarried and those who are artists and musicians as well. From the very beginning, should there be things that they should be looking out for on the back of what Adaeze said? Should there be things they should be looking out for if they have to embark on this journey of romance, a relationship, and marriage? Looking out for in a spouse.
Oh yes, of course. For a single, or for a musician who is a single person, it's very important that you understand that the very arts that you are in, whether it's a secular art or it's a gospel, it's a Christian art. And in this very instance, we are looking at Christian musicians, right? Yes. You need to understand that the gifting that you have, the calling, the arts, whatever talent that you have, naturally, it attracts people. Music touches the soul. Music touches our basal instinct. That's how human beings are. So naturally, you attract people. So your ability to select the right person is always on the edge, because if you are not careful, people will be attracted to the talents, and then they will come around you as though they are attracted to you beyond what you bring on the stage, or beyond what you offer on the stage. And you need to understand that to be able to marry and have a marriage that will thrive, that will go through the valleys and go over the mountain and become whatever it is that God wants it to become, people should see you beyond what you do out there. People should want you for who you are, your thinking, your heart, your reasoning, your financial disposition. When I say financial disposition, I don't mean the money that you have, but how you generate the money, how you grow the money, how you turn the money around, even how you bless other people with the wealth that God has given you. It is important that you need to understand that those who are coming into your life should be people that are on the same level with you emotionally. The Bible says in the book of Amos chapter 3 verse 3, it says that can two walk except they agree. So you need to understand that the people who are coming close to you are people that you agree with. You agree with spiritually, you agree with academically, you agree with intellectually. Sometimes you see a big man, and in this case, I'm not just limiting it to just the musicians, but sometimes you see just a big person and they are married to a trophy a trophy wife, a trophy husband, a trophy something. And in some way, somehow, beyond the public appearance, they are dying inside because they can't even have basic intellectual conversations with them. They can't agree on anything. They can't agree on money. They can't agree on children, how to discipline them, how to raise them. They can't agree on spiritual values because maybe one comes from an extreme orthodox background, another comes from an extreme charismatic background, and you can't even agree on that. You realize that there is a lot of disequilibrium, a lot of, they lack confluence, so it goes on to affect them. So you realize that as far as the ministry is concerned, they are good. They are doing fine. The woman is helping or the man is helping, depending on who is the artist or who is the musician, and who they are married. You see that there is a help there. But beyond that point, you realize that they are struggling. And marriage is more than a stage act. Marriage is more than what you see when you are in public. Marriage actually is actually what happens when the two of you are behind closed doors. So for me, yes, I totally agree that there are things people need to look out for, especially for the singles. And these things are very paramount. Beyond the acts, look for something far-reaching. And I think that it will help you.
It's not in a submission that I wrote, and which I sent as a prelude to our conversation. I wrote that it is not uncommon most of the time for our church leaders to cite the music team anytime there is the issue of inappropriate relationship, immorality, and all that kind of thing. And all the time I do wonder why the musician, why the praise and worship leader, why the instrumentalist, why that singer, why is it that it is so? Adaeze, you have been around artists, you've managed artists. Is there any reason why you think?
I think it's very much linked to what Sebastian was saying. There's a lot of attention that an artist gets, or a musician, a lot. And I know, even as a worshiper myself, that the battle that you have to fight in terms of making sure that your pride, very much linked to the lustful nature, is kept in check. The attention that you get.
Right. I just want to make a note of that statement you just said. Pride linked to the lustful nature. Do I still have you, Adaeze? It looks like the link froze a bit there.
She froze.
I hope that that will be restored.
But if I can pick it from where she ended, I'm sure her thoughts will be a bit different from mine, but still picking up from there. One thing I've also noticed in this era, and I'm not speaking for all times, I'm speaking for just the time that we find ourselves in, because of the very nature of the type of church we are projecting. We find a lot of pastors and a lot of church owners. Let me say church owners, because now it's become almost like a business. So people own their churches. But that's not what we're talking about. But let me just say that a lot of head pastors, that's a fair description.
That's a fair
head pastors, yes, are more interested in the choreography of the church. When I say the choreography of the church, I don't mean the actual choreographic performance, but how the entire church service is choreographed. So, the kind of people that they line up as ushers, they need to be on point. They need to be attractive. They need to smell good. They need to look good. So they carry specific people for that job. The type of instrumentalist that we need. We don't care whether you are born again or not. We need somebody who can play the drum. We need somebody who can play the trumpet. We need somebody who can play the organ. So there is the bit where we find new talent coming to the church. And while we want them to quickly take up roles in the church so that the church will thrive and it will draw members, we sometimes renege on their spiritual growth. So you realize that somebody who just joined the church a month or two ago, who hasn't gone through baptism, who hasn't gone through conversion classes and all of that, suddenly they are in front of the church holding microphone and singing, because it's a raw talent and the talent is good and they have the capacity to sing. So in the process, you realize that things just begin to escalate quickly and they draw a lot of attention. And in their struggling to be born again, spirit-filled, so that they can do the job as they ought to, sometimes they fall into folly. Because then you also have all these existing church members who are throwing themselves at the new guy who leads praise and worship, or at the new usher, or at the new organist. So it's also help project or push this negative stereotype. Yes.
Okay, Adaeze, I can see that you really want to
because I've also seen where the person has been in church for a long time. They've done the baptism. They're the one shouting at the front. They're all these things, and then they're promoted, or they start to build momentum and hype up their worship, and they fall. Why? Because there is this part of our heart, this pride thing linked to the lustful nature. Once that pride thing is awakened, and it awakens lustful nature, and people then, their ability and their talent, it becomes who they are, right? Linked to their self-image. And that's why even sometimes in a marriage, I'll find that ministers, they don't know how to become husbands again, because that gift becomes who they are, right? Directly linked to their self-image. And so yes, the women are attracted to me, or the men are attracted to me. I am the singer, I am the star. For many worshipers, that stage is their platform, right? This is it's what makes them. And so when you're in that state, now you've moved from spiritual nature to flesh nature, anything can happen. It's easy to fall. And that's why you've seen some of the greatest, art. I mean, Ty Tribbett, Israel, all these artists who have given us anointed songs, right? But when that hype comes around them, that feeds into their pride, ego, man or woman, awakens that fleshy nature, anything can happen. Anyone can fall. I think you could have been baptized 6 times over. You're still.
I totally agree.
In this sense, what can be done? I'm just trying to buy into the mind of someone who is saying, "Oh my goodness, so what can I do? I can see myself exactly in that place that Adaeze is describing, or PG is talking about. What can I do?" Let's start from the relationship stage, and then let's just transition it into the marriage stage. PG, what can we do? And then Adaeze, I'll come to you for the same question.
Well, for me, I think that I think Adaeze put it in a very succinct way. It is the pride that begins to basically get out of its cage, get out of its vault, and take over. So for me, as a Christian, and a Christian musician for that matter, you need to be existentially aware of this folly that is lurking in the corner, ever ready to pounce on you. You need to be. The Bible talks about Samson. Even when everybody was pointing Delilah and the folly of dating a Philistine woman, he alone was blind to that. Well, there are other schools of thought. People say that, well, God was using him for a purpose, so that's fine. But in the meantime, before we got to know what God was doing, there were people who were always pointing him to the place that he was going, that he shouldn't go. And I think that as a young person who looks forward to settling, to marrying, you need to understand that as you do the work of God and as you draw attention to yourself, first is the devil that will come and tempt you. Then it is you who will allow him to use you. So you need to constantly be aware of this folly around the corner. Constantly keep yourself in check. Constantly exude a virtue of humility. Constantly be aware of the path that you are on and the potential of the fact that you can easily trip and fall. Don't take anything for granted. And you need to guard yourself. Bible says that guard your heart with all diligence. You need to learn to draw solid and proper boundaries. You see, boundaries are everything. At what time do people get in touch to chat with you? What is the theme of their chat? If people come and all they are doing is flattering, you need to ask yourself, is this what this conversation is all about? When people are throwing themselves at you, at what point in time do you allow people to come to your personal space, whether it's your house or whether you are doing rehearsals or whatever? Who are the people in your team? Who are the people in your team? Are they as spiritual as you are? Do they encourage you to pray? Are there people who can correct and chastise you? Are there people who can help you, put you on the right path? So it's a whole audit that you need to do about your life, do about the circumstance you find yourself in, the team that you move with, the people who come around you, and personally, a personal introspection on day-to-day basis, always asking yourself, am I on the right track? Is my heart right before God? Am I allowing certain things to come out of me? And I also think that sometimes we can't leave the battle to the young people alone. So that is why they need some accountability partners, grown-ups who have been there, who are well-grounded, who can actually sit back and tell them that, young man, this path that you are on, or young woman, this path that you are on, I have been on this path. If you don't move this way, or if you don't go that way, you are likely to crash. They need that accountability partner. And then the pastors that bear rule over them, they should also take personal interest in them. Personal interest, most importantly, in their spiritual life, not just in their talent and what it brings them, but in their spiritual life, ensuring that at every point in time, while they are flourishing, they are still meek and gentle.
That is quite elaborated there. Adaeze, let's look at the married ones, and how do we position ourselves when in case we find ourselves in such a situation, pride awakening that lustful nature and causing things to go haywire. What do we do?
Yeah, I think that it's really important I think I mentioned it before, for people to understand or place things in priorities.
Priorities, okay.
So if you're married, if you're a husband or wife, you're a husband and wife before you're a worship leader, before you're a minister. That has to come first. So what I see people do is really, I've heard people blame ministry for the failure of their marriage because, I was so busy with the ministry. And I think that really that you placed your priorities in the wrong place. I think that number two, also, you have to recognize, and this is what I used to tell people as well, and even I held myself to this level, is that as a minister, you're a pastor in song.
Okay.
And when we look at what in Timothy, what they said about, a man called to, or a woman called to that office, the level of behavior and integrity and character that was required is required of you, even if you're playing the drums, because you're ministering.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
It's required of you, even if you're a backing vocalist, you're part of that ministry of sending forth the word, but with music and calling on God's Spirit. And I think that isn't emphasized enough. And I think that at any stage when your marriage is rocky, you have to question where you are in your ministry. And I've seen this happen where somebody's home is in a mess, yet they feel okay to minister. And almost as long as they're on that stage, and I think it's what I was linked to before, because the talent and everything that they're getting from it has been now directly linked to who they are, their self-image. It's almost like they ignore what's going on in the background. So I think it's really key to get that priorities right. Know that your first ministry is at home, and God isn't going to say to you, well done for traveling around the world leading in music, but you destroyed your home for my sake. To be good enough, that's not going to be accepted. So get your priorities right. And number two, understand that you're a priest. You're a minister of the word, just in song. And so the behavior that you would expect of your pastor is expected of you.
I have heard interviews of artists that unfortunately have had marriage breakdowns, and one of the things that sometimes run through is that my spouse was not in agreement to my music, or my spouse was not in agreement. More like he or she was in opposition to me fulfilling the call of God. So I'm just focused on ministry. So I need to work out so I can do what God has called me to do. Is there something that is being missed here? Adaeze, let me ask you first, and I'll go to PG.
Yeah, there is, because what they're basically, and again, it's just what I've seen. What they're basically saying is, I want to be free to travel where I want, be out all day, all night, in the name of ministry. Anybody can call me at any time in the name of ministry. I'll go and be traveling with a team of women, and we'll all be staying in the name of ministry. The walls that we would usually put up to protect my home, I don't have to do that anymore in the name of ministry. And you're expecting your spouse to be absolutely fine. This poor man and woman has to be completely at ease with you traveling around the world without them, but with a team of women or men. Completely at ease with you going out in the morning and not coming back till late, not even asking them about it, not getting them involved, not allowing them to be integral to this as well. They just have to be at peace with it. Here, there, and everywhere, doing whatever you want. That's what you're really asking for.
Yep.
And I think that expecting your spouse to just be okay with that is unrealistic. There's a lot of conversation that needs to happen. There's a lot of bringing on board. There's a lot of, even, I'm going to say ask permission, but, you know, for example, myself, my husband is absolutely fine with me doing what I need to do for ministry. However, still to this day, if somebody asks me to go and minister somewhere, I will ask his permission. Why I want to get him in. I want to know that this thing isn't more important than you, right? So if at any point you're like, actually, I'm not comfortable, you come first. That's my first requirement. And also, where possible, I'm not traveling without him.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Those walls have to be put up in any marriage. You have to make sure, and I always talk about those seeds of insecurity. You don't allow any seeds of insecurity to be planted. And I think that ministers, music artists are very naive of the potential seeds of insecurities that can be sown, and also very unrealistic in terms of what they expect from their spouse to be able to tolerate all the time.
PG, let me find out from you where you know a couple find themselves in that situation, and it looks like, you are quote unquote like an opposition to my ministry. How should the approach be, especially from the person who seemed to be on the receiving end at the brunt of this whole ministerial image that is going out there? How should the spouse approach a resolution?
Well, for me, if you ask me, I mean, at the roots of all of this is accountability. You see, we have a lot of young people who are not accountable. And if you are not accountable, it is not just in your ministry that is going to suffer. If you find yourself in a corporate environment, you are going to be unaccountable, and it's going to, over time, catch up with you. Right. If you find yourself in the military, you are going to be unaccountable. Over time, it's going to catch up with you. So it has nothing to do with your marriage or your spouse. You lack the basic sense of accountability or basic accountability skills, knowing what and when to do. I mean, when to do what, knowing the right boundaries, knowing how to ask permission, how to build consensus, knowing how to compromise, knowing how to draw priorities. I think that these things that Adaeze has already mentioned them. It is something that a lot more of these young musicians need to learn. These are skills, everyday life skills that they need to learn. They need to learn how to relate with their spouses as far as their music or their ministry is concerned. Now, coming to the substantive question. So first and foremost, my point is that the woman at the receiving end or the man at the receiving end, what were the considerations that were made prior to marrying this person? Did you see this aspect of them? Did you know that this is the ministry that we're going to get into, or this is where they are drivers? See, I'm a counselor. I do counseling. I do full-time. Full-time counseling. Before I met my wife, she knew, or I was doing something along that line. But when she came into the picture, she knew that this is something that my husband is going to do for the longest time. Professionally, I'm an insurance underwriter, but I do counseling. I ensure that my wife is not at the place where she will feel neglected. I mean, I don't travel to do counseling, but if I'm going to be on a call for 1 hour, I let her understand before I get on the call, even if it is back to back. Once I finish with one, I mean, either I tell her that, okay, for the next 3 hours, don't call me. For the next 3 hours, I'm unavailable because I'm doing back-to-back sections. Or I finish one, even if it is just a single minute, I would text her and tell her that I'm done with this one. I'm moving on to the second one. It's a sense of accountability. And by so doing, I build that confidence in her. And she gives me my space. We both respect each other. I think that if you are a spouse and you are at the receiving end of all of this, today is ministry, tomorrow is ministry, and you feel neglected, you feel unwanted, you feel left out, you feel kept out of the bigger picture, I think the first thing is to bring a conversation up. Okay. If you are not sure how to go about it, look for a competent counselor. I don't say go and talk to anyone who can offer you advice. Look for a competent counselor because some of these issues are very thorny. And you will need someone who understands the nuances of the job of a minister or a job of somebody in ministry and the role of a supporting spouse. Somebody who is very understanding to actually sit the two of you down, open things up, spread it on the table for all of you to understand that this is what is supposed to be. This is what is expected of you. So for the man, you need somebody to handhold you. Oh, sorry, not for the man, but for the artist, the musician, because you could be a woman. You need somebody to handhold you in the basic rudiment of how to keep your home in the bigger picture of being a minister. Now, you also need somebody to handhold the spouse, the person who is at the receiving end. Handhold them to understand that as a spouse of a minister, you need to understand the terrain that your spouse found themselves in. So this is what you also need to do. Sometimes some spouses lay back hoping that their artist spouse will tell them, oh, let's go here, join me here, let's do this. And sometimes they don't. So they kind of feel offended, they kind of feel left out. So as part of you also trying to get into the picture, learn to prepare yourself, learn to be ready, so that if your husband calls you or your wife calls you that, oh babe, there is this event here, there is this something here that I need to go. This is not the time you are thinking about, oh no, I've not done my hair. No, oh no, so why do I have to go for a pedicure? No, I need to go and get a new dress. I need to do this. Oh no, no, you should always be prepared, because when it happens, your spouse will be on the move. And if you are ready and you have the time, you just jump on the bandwagon and then go with them. So there's a lot of conversation that need to happen. But I believe that existentially, the one who feels left out should bring the conversation. And if you feel you are not getting mileage, get a competent help. Somebody like Adaeze, who is in the industry and understand both sides of it, because she's married and she's in the industry. So she understands both sides of the conversation, so that you are helped. You are given the right resources, the right tools, and handheld to get to that place where everybody is getting the best out of that relationship.
Adaeze, you want to comment? I can see.
Sebastian, you're talking. You are talking. You're absolutely, especially that last bit that you said, because literally with some of my coaching clients at the moment, this is some of the things that I'm dealing with where, okay, an artist or a minister, and what we've got to understand is this call that your spouse has is also their passion.
Yep.
Right. And so wherever your passion is, you're going to gravitate to, right? You're going to want to do that. You know, I think a passion is described as almost a burning desire that is almost uncontrollable. So the spouse needs to know that this is something that they're driven towards. Now, if you're going to come and almost stand as a block because of your lack of understanding and of your lack of understanding of how to manage, because of the conversations that you have not had, if you want to become like a block in their passion, then that's automatically going to feel like a fight. Whereas the wisest thing to do is to become more of a champion.
Yep.
Right? To walk alongside, to do what you were saying, Sebastian, to really be ready to have wives say, oh, you know, I go to every single ministry. I used to go to every single ministry. Now I've seen it all. I can't be bothered anymore. But at the same time, now you're complaining that he doesn't share with you anymore what's going on. He doesn't think you're interested. He just goes and does it. Well, because you've withdrawn yourself. Now you think it's boring. But I'm saying, be the number one champion. Understand that this is his passion. And the best place for you to be is right alongside that passion.
Right. Right. I totally agree.
Is there anything like, be reasonable? Is there anything in all these that we are saying? Is there anything like be reasonable?
Yeah, there has to be a balance, and
yes.
I think that's what I was saying before. If you're traveling all around the world or just up and down the country and you're with a team of people of the opposite sex, and obviously intimacy is built, right? So you're going to be finding that naturally. You're building intimacy with these people who you're around, right? And the less that you're at home, the intimacy is coming apart. So imagine that people that you're spending the most time with, traveling, having the best experiences of your life, you're having with other people, not your spouse.
Right.
It's almost natural that you're going to be driven more to be with them, to spend more time with them, and you're going to start to lose interest at home. It's almost natural. Right?
Wow.
So you have to find the balance. So when you come off the road, you need to make sure that you don't just finish ministry, come home, and suddenly all you're interested is food. You're interested in just doing business, and you got to pour that same energy in. You've got to find ways to get excited experiences with your spouse as well. Find ways to inject intimacy every single time, because otherwise what will happen is this dynamic of when I'm away, life is exciting. When I'm home, it's dull and boring. Then what's going to happen? So number one, yes, a balance in terms of making sure that you are in time-wise, it's not all one-way ministry, but also making sure that you create times of deep intimacy, experience, memories that makes home time not I'm going home, but I'm going home, and home is just as exciting and fulfilling for me as ministry time.
I love that.
And sorry, Daniel, if I can just throw in, this and share this more of a personal experience. So I do counseling. I don't live with my wife because of work. She is in a different city. Now, I try as much as possible not to build a lot of personal relationship with my clients because I know what it means. You have somebody sitting in front of you, super beautiful woman sitting in front of you, telling you about all the hell husband is taking her through. And as you listen to her, you know that this is a perfect woman. Oh my God, why would anybody do such a thing to such a woman? But you see, this person is not coming for one-off counseling and go. They're coming for multiple sessions. So it is danger right there. So what I do is all my sessions are online, period. Awesome. I don't have physical meetings with people. If I have to meet a couple or if I have to meet somebody in my house, you have to be a couple. I'm seeing you and your husband together. My bookings are on a different number than my personal number. So somebody does the booking. So there is no personal touch to what I do. I try to keep it very, very much a business.
Right.
As much as I know that as a counselor, I should also have that human side. That human side happens within the 1 hour that we have a session. That is when you see all the human aspect of me. But the booking, the follow-up chats, the follow-up conversation, everything, you do it through another person, just so that I'm removed from the picture. Because the next moment that a chat starts, then it graduates. The chat is coming at 10 p.m. You are responding. It's coming at 11 p.m. You are responding. Oh, I can't sleep. 1 a.m. You are responding. Gradually, you are building intimacy. It's only a matter of time. The next time the person comes to sit in front of you, you are no longer talking about why they are there. You are talking about the conversations that you had at 1 a.m. And so you need to be intentional about drawing the boundaries, setting the platform, making it right. And I like what Adaeze said. You should always remember that you come from a place, and that is home. So when you go out there, no matter what it is that the world will give to you, you should always find a place where you store certain amount of energy only reserved for the home. So when you come home, you are all with your partner. You are having the time of your life with your partner. Intimacy is top notch. Conversations are top notch. Relationships are top notch. So that when you go out there and you're doing whatever you're supposed to do, you also have the time to do it. The Bible says that a false balance is an abomination. It's very important that we find that balance. It's very important that, and for me, whenever my wife is in town, everybody who follows me on social media or anybody who knows me will tell you, when my wife is in town, my social media activity just goes down to like 20%.
Okay.
My friends, I'm not even chatting or calling or being on phone with you because she hasn't been around for a long time. And when she comes, I need to get the best out of the time. And that is some of the checks and balances that I've put in place. Yeah.
I'm glad you're talking about the balance, because that is what this conversation is about, really, where we can find the real balance when it comes to relationships and marriages as artists. Now, let me ask this one, and let me describe a scenario that sometimes happen where you have a spouse, someone who is married to maybe an artist, and then they get to realize, maybe for whatever reason, maybe it might be lack of transparency, it might be that they've not be able to do the things that strengthen trust, it might be anything, but for some reason they realize that I'm not a member of their team, maybe of the opposite sex, is becoming too close for comfort. In such a situation, this can be either a male artist or a female artist, and so it does happen with like managers and stuff. In such a situation, what should the partner at the other end do to make sure that it, as much as they would be able to handle the situation, it doesn't also break down the business side of whatever that they are doing? How should they go about it? Adaeze, let me start with you.
The partner or the actual artist?
So the artist, the partner who is the artist, maybe is working with either someone and they are getting too close for comfort. But this time, he might not even be seeing it as such. But the spouse is thinking that, the way my husband is backing vocalist or whatever, the way they are becoming too close, it leaves much to be desired about. What should they do? How do they go about it in such a way that it doesn't also affect, if it's the ministry, if it's the business or whatever? How do they go about it?
Obviously, everything has to start with communication.
Okay.
And I think the artists themselves need to be prepared that their spouse's voice should always be heard in this case.
Right.
The artist, let me just bring it with the artist as well, because a lot of this will be on the artist, because it's the artist's responsibility to create a sense of security for their spouse.
Okay.
And so the only reason why somebody would feel that they could start to become super close with you is if you've kind of let your guard down. Sometimes, without any, you've not tried to, but you've opened the door a little bit. So the first thing you need to do is be prepared to close that doors and draw up some boundaries. But also, if you've not noticed it, don't get offended when it's your spouse that does notice it. And be prepared to choose your spouse over them. So I think, definitely a conversation needs to be happening. And also, again, if there is somebody in your team, let me say this, and I'm just going to say it straight, because sometimes we need to just get straight to the point. If there's somebody in your team who knows that you're married but is overstepping the mark, the question is, should they be in your team?
Okay.
Absolutely.
Should they even be there? Because somebody who is in the team of your ministry should be respectful enough, should be at the spiritual level that they honor your marriage. And so if they do overstep the mark and your spouse is the one that points it out, number one, be humble enough to open your eyes, see where you may have let down some boundaries, but then also be prepared to choose your spouse over this person, and then also question whether this person is right for your team. And I don't think the fear that you should have should be about, shaking things up a little bit. I think that shouldn't be the fear. I think the fear should be the damage to your marriage and what is happening there, the risk to your marriage.
Okay.
So place that first.
Wow.
If I can just throw in a little bit. So for me, yes, as the Bible says, let your yes be yes, let your no be no. Every other thing is of the devil. And I think that as a spouse of somebody who is in ministry, be very careful about how you nag and how you complain. Because the day you complain, it has to be taken serious. But if you keep doing it, every petty thing you are complaining, the day it really matters, when you say it, nobody takes you serious. So that just make sure that before you go to your husband or your wife talking about this musician or this backing vocalist or this instrumentalist and how you've seen somebody trying to be cozy with them and everything, always make sure that you know exactly what you're doing. And before you say it, you are sure how you feel is true, so that when it comes out of your mouth, it carries weight. But if you're going to have problem with almost everyone around your spouse, because you saw them offering handkerchief because they were crying, or the next time you saw them giving them water because they were thirsty, and everything you see, you have a problem with it. A time comes when the real problem comes, or when the real danger is presented, and you go talking, your partner kind of sees you as a nagger, as a complainer. So when it really matters, they don't take you serious. So for me, make sure that before you open your mouth to draw your spouse's attention to any member of his team, make sure that you are sure you've prayed about it, you've seen it from multiple angles, and you are certain that this girl or this guy is overstepping their boundary. The other side of it is that as an artist, trust your spouse's instinct enough to know that sometimes God will speak to you through them. God may probably never speak to you through all the people in your team, because they are all sucking up to you and you are the boss. So whatever you say is final. But there is just one person who has seen you naked before, who has seen you running with a stomach ache and, pooping all over yourself, who has seen you sick and you can't even do anything, throwing all over. A person who knows you, who knows about the acne on your body, who knows everything about you. They've seen you naked. And so when they are telling you something, trust them, they know what it is that they are telling you. They can tell you what no one else can tell you, because when they see you as high and mighty. So when your spouse gives you a feedback, be humble enough, be understanding and accommodating enough to take it in. You may not listen to it instantly, but as a minister, it's your responsibility to stand before God. So when we go before God, just tell God, this is what my wife has thrown to me. This is what my husband is complaining about. God, give me a word, give me a sign. Help me understand what this is and give me a way out. Some way, somehow, there is always a way out.
Right. Some way, somehow, there is always a way out. We are going to bring the conversation to a close pretty shortly. I'm very mindful of the time for my guests. If you have any comments, people are just quiet online. But if you have any comments or questions, or if these questions are such that you can't ask them, you can see on the screen the website for my guest, PG Sebastian. That's www.pgsebastian.com. You can contact him via the website, as well as Adaeze, that is Marriage4Real. The 4 is the letter 4, or the number 4, I beg your pardon. So marriage4real.co.uk. You can contact them. I hope to have Adaeze back for this very final question. PG, you mentioned intimacy. Adaeze did mention intimacy as well, and you use the word specifically. It has to be top notch, especially for a Christian, an artist, a musician who is married. How do we make sure? What would you say to the couple? One of them may be an artist. What would you say as far as their intimacy life is concerned? And if I would be very plain with it, their sex life. How should they handle it in such a way that there are no room, or there is no room for temptations, quote and unquote? because I mean, sometimes I play. I'm a musician myself, and I realize that for most of us are melancholics, and our temperament are such that you can be quite indisposed and very prone to temptation easily, especially
Right.
if you're not having that sort of fulfillment. So, speak to
Right.
it for me. How should artists go about this?
I think first and foremost, if you are married to an artist or you're an artist yourself, first and foremost, you need to be aware of the temptations around you. And these temptations are not temptations for people to go and play and pay, or temptations for people to go and go for a jog. These are sexual temptations, period. It is what it is. When we say temptations, we don't mean any kind of temptation. We mean sexual temptation. And so what it means is that for the spouse, you need to ensure that as an individual, you present yourself in a way that your spouse will find you ravishing, that your spouse will find you enticing, exciting, sensual. You need to present yourself like that. But you see, sometimes we think that the best way to get the best out of your intimate life is all about presentation and appearance. No,
Okay.
it goes beyond that, because there are so many beautiful women and so many fine men whose spouses are cheating on them. It has nothing to do with appearance. Appearance is just one part of it.
Okay.
There is the bit about how you make the person feel. If you constantly make your spouse feel that they are less of a man or less of a woman, you're constantly comparing them to other people. You are constantly spiting them. You are disrespecting them. You are dishonoring them. You withhold information from them. You don't communicate well with them. Naturally, over a period, they build resentment towards you. So you can go and wear the most expensive and the choicest of Victoria's Secret's lingerie. They will still look at you and they won't probably even get an erection. You can go and get 6 packs and all shredded. You can slay all the ladies with just a look. Your wife, when you touch your wife, she will cringe. So for me, it is not just about presentation, though presentation matters, but it is how you make your spouse feel. And you see, Christians, sometimes we shy away when we have to have very, very, very direct sex conversations with our spouse. Meanwhile, we are having them with people in our team. When we meet these small girls, we have them. We talk about the boobs, we talk about the butts, we talk about all of them.
Right.
But you see, when it comes to our spouse, we want to be all righteous. Please, if you want to be righteous with anybody, be righteous with people in your team. If you want to be all holy and all prim and proper, be with the people in your team. But when it comes to your spouse, let down your head, have that conversation. Say what you have to say. After all, they are names of the parts that God created. So call them for what they are. And when you're having sex, do all sort of things. Like, I mean, who in this day and age turn off their lights and get under the blanket to make love? But yeah, it's happening because for some strange reason, it's righteous. Just turn on the lights. Have sex in the kitchen, have sex in the dining table, have sex in the hall, heck, have sex in the car. But at the end of the day, make sure that every time you get close to your wife, she feels enticed. She's excited. She's turned on. Every time you get close to your husband, he is turned on. It matters because if you don't, naturally they gravitate to the person who will do that. Of course, personal hygiene matters. How you comport yourself matters. How you dress matters. This weave on that you've been wearing for 3 months, that is smelling. You need to take it off. It matters. This lingerie that you took to your honeymoon, it's been 10 years. You still wear it. It even has some holes in it. It matters. So build intimacy. Make sure that by deed and by thoughts and by actions or by words, yes, you are building intimacy, or you are always building your partner towards it. When you are away, text. Talk about the silly things that come on your mind. If at any point in time you are there singing and you are feeling horny, when you finish, text your wife, babe, I'm thinking about you. Can you imagine? For some strange reason, I'm sitting in front of this church, ready to minister, and all I'm thinking about is sex. Babe, hurry up and come. Babe, is it a question of money? I can fly you over. Let's just have sex. Or you can just sleep in my hotel. I know you're a very busy person, or you don't want to be all over the place with my people. That's fine, I understand. But at least for this, can you just come around? It's just for the weekend, then you can go back. Have that conversation. Be honest. Be vulnerable. Be vulnerable. Some of these people, like Adaeze said, they see the work to be them. So they are the demigod. So they cannot be vulnerable. They cannot tell their spouses how much they honestly feel. Please do. Have that conversation. Be open. Be honest with your spouse. Some way, somehow, you realize that you will sail through without the temptations that are waiting for you outside.
Wow. I mean, I couldn't have this end on a better note than this submission that you've just made. And I'm very confident that someone would take this and run with it. And listen, if you want to know more and find out more, PG, please, can you tell us about what you do? Tell us about how people can engage. And like you rightly said, I know that most of the time, these things are very difficult to talk about. We consider them too private to share, but people are dying inside, especially those who have all the air around them as artists, as musicians, as singers, frontline ministers, pastors. They find themselves in tight corners and they are not able to talk about it to anyone. So if somebody would want to put a confidential session with you and walk through and how they navigate some of these things, how do they contact you? Tell us a bit about what you do. And how
so quickly, I mean, you can just go to my website, go to pgsebastian.com, pgsebastian.com. You will see book appointments. You see a link that says book appointment. You just click it. Otherwise, you can also drop the menu, select book online, and then you can just go ahead and you see all my services listed. So I'm into relationship coaching. I'm into premarital counseling. That's premarital counseling leading to marriage. I'm into postmarital counseling, whether it's issue-based or it's just general improvement counseling. I'm also into divorce therapy. People who are going through divorce, how do you transition? How do you get the best out of the experience without necessarily making more mistakes in your next love life? So I do all that. You can also reach me on WhatsApp via +233 554 849792 233 554 849792. This is strictly WhatsApp. So if you call, the number will not be picked. Just send us a WhatsApp. We will connect with you and then we will help you go through the booking process. Unfortunately, my services are at a fee. Why should
it be unfortunate? It should be fortunate.
Yes, I know. Some people come and then once you tell them that they have to go to the website and go and book, they see the prices and then they don't come again. Right. So sometimes it's a bit sad. But hey, if you don't have the money, you just approach us. I also have people who occasionally sponsor. I do get people who say that, PG, I'm booking for 5 people. I'm paying because you bless me a lot on your radio, on your TV, and on your social media handles. So I will pay. Anybody who doesn't have the money, let them come. So if you don't have the money, you just come. Let's talk about it. Let's see how we can discount the session for you or probably even give it to you for free. But for me, my ultimate aim is to help people build relationships they can be proud of. So that is what I do. Reach out, link up, and let's get going.
Reach out, link out, and let's get it done. I'm hoping Adaeze is having a bit of a challenge with her internet. I was hoping that she would come on and then maybe quickly just close us with her final submission. But then if you want to reach her as well, the website is marriage4real.co.uk. And PG, you mentioned about divorce therapy, and I think it's one crucial area that sometimes a lot of people don't know how to navigate. Somebody like yourself and somebody like Adaeze, who has actually been, no, she's not been through divorce. Hers is infidelity. Sorry. So infidelity, I mean, and she speaks boldly about it because she's been able to navigate and transform her life, and she's using that to help others, and there are amazing testimonies that are coming out. So if you find yourself in that place where maybe for some reason your partner has strayed out of the marriage and you don't know what to do, you think that you were praying all the prayer, commanding all the fire, but the fire wasn't able to burn.
The fire's not burning.
That right, yes. There is help for you out there. Don't be bent out as a musician, as an artist. There is help for you, and that's why we have this conversation. PG, I'm very grateful for your time. God richly.
It's a pleasure, Daniel. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
Yes, I know Saturday mornings you are normally on Joy 99.7 FM.
Yes, depending on the subject involved, I am invited on. Right.
All right. Okay, great. So PG's number for booking or to contact him is on your screen right now. So please do so, and do share this broadcast with others who will find it very, very informative and a blessing. PG, have a lovely, lovely Sunday evening.
You too, Daniel. You too, Daniel. Take care.
All right. Okay.
Sure.
God bless you.
Okay.
Right.
Bye.
So that was my guest, PG, Sebastian, and Adaeze. Today, like I said, it's very short, straight to the point. And I would like to thank all of you. Thank you very much for making time to be with me. Today's broadcast is the final episode for 2020. Chat with Daniel Dadson is going on a break for the next few weeks, and God willing, we'll be back in January 2021. But in the course of December, I will be sharing with you some of the exciting conversations that have gone on right here. I will be bringing you snippets of them, or I will be doing some rebroadcast just to refresh your memory. So do let me know which of the topics or which of the subjects or which of the interviews that you would love to hear again, and I will bring them to you. I also would like to announce that on the 25th of December, which is Christmas Day, Ernest, I'm grateful. Ernest Sechiakomia, you have been there from day one, always on this broadcast. God richly bless you. Charles Kala, you said good program. Rex Asari, Oyenuga, thank you for tuning in. My brother Stephen Owusu and all of you precious small, all of you who were on Facebook and on YouTube, thank you. But I was saying that on the 25th, I'll be releasing 2 of my songs. So 2 singles will be dropping on the 25th of December. So it's considered my Christmas gift to you. Watch out for the information. It will be out there and you would get to engage. So when they come out, do share, download, share, stream, and let's just be a blessing. My name is Daniel Dadson. It's been an amazing time sharing with you. Prophet Papa Adaeze Yakwa, God richly bless you for the connection, and you say keep up the good work, my brother. Keep up the good work as well. So thanks, guys. Let me know. Reach out to me, all of you who have been doing so. If you need any support and assistance with your music. Managing your music, navigating the waters as a new artist, development programs that I have. God willing, next year, I did say that I will be putting together a masterclass that you would pay something small, but I'm bringing together a team of highly sought after professionals who will be helping us put together something good that we can benefit from. So if you are an emerging artist, or even you are doing this, you want to know a little bit more about digital distribution and marketing for your music, how to enhance your presence on social media, take advantage of it, how to plan a social media campaign, how to do YouTube and Facebook and Instagram advertising just to make sure your ministry brand is positioned properly, and even how to write songs, writing songs, arrangement, composition, choosing the right producers to work with, mastering, a lot of things, and all the support that you need. Watch out for the growth and development masterclass that will be coming on next year. My name is Daniel. It's been a wonderful time. So if you don't see me live on Sundays for the next few weeks, that is me done for the year. But then I will still be bringing to you some excerpts as has been broadcasted in the past few weeks. Let me say a very big thank you to every one of my guests who have joined me. Calvis Hammond was the very first guest that I had on this show. Efe Grace, God bless you. Eben Visfat, there's been Joshua Hinkra, there's been a lot of you. I should have made the list. I didn't do that. I don't want to leave anyone out, but all of you who have been on this platform, Reverend Denzel Prempe, doing Dadson, Zuta, all of you. Mr. Ninoy, Uncle Ace Ankoma, and Mr. Kwesienest, a lot of you, Koda, everyone, Auntie Diana Hamilton, Uncle Charles Cranton, every one of you who have been on, all the new and emerging artists, Efe Glover, the names are coming to me and I'm mentioning them, but all of you, Charles Etrako, Nestina Coney, and you see, I don't script these things, but yeah, I should have done that. But all of you who have been on this platform, God richly bless you. So have a lovely Sunday and have a merry Christmas. And I wish you a prosperous new year. My name is Daniel Dadson. Let me see if I can play you out with one of my old tracks. Okay, let me see if I can play you out. Just bear with me one moment. Yeah. Okay, so let's play out with Wonderful God. This is the instrumental bit, and I'm trusting God that you will love it.
Covenant through without our strength. Forever we will bow in worship. Only you